What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Now, today's Monday, so it's Mock Draft Monday, but there was also some other Ravens news with Sammy Watkins coming in for a visit that will come out tomorrow. Now, personally, I think the deal will get done, and so in this mock draft, I'm assuming that Sammy Watkins does sign with the Baltimore Ravens. So what should the Ravens do with this? But I'll give my full thoughts, if and when the deal gets out. But this is an assumption that the Ravens sign Sammy Watkins, or they will sign a wide receiver one, because it seems like they're really trying, and I think they will end up signing a wide receiver. So this is assuming that they sign Sammy Watkins, what the Ravens should do in the draft. It's a no-trade draft. Do it every week, so check out the other mock drafts I've had. And as always, I want to know what everybody else in the comment section has in their mock drafts and different players I should look out for, because I've definitely looked into a lot of people that I've heard from the comment section, and I've really considered drafting them and looking at where I could get them and potential undrafted candidates. Let me know. I want to hear all those things down below. Let me know your thoughts on what my drafts were, my draft picks were. But here we go, getting into it. With the 27th pick in the draft, I went with Gregory Rousseau. Now, I had Terrace Marshall on the board. Bateman was not available, but I did have Terrace Marshall on the board, and I'm a big fan of Terrace Marshall. If anybody's seen my, first mock draft, I talked about Terrace Marshall. Like, that's my number 2 guy if they could get. But that was at that point. If we sign Sammy Watkins, I don't want to draft a wide receiver in the first round. We really need to address the edge rusher position. And Gregory Rousseau, I think, is the best possible edge rusher that the Ravens could get at pick 27. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's a bit raw, but his potential is the highest of all the players that the Ravens could get at that spot. So, I think that's something that the Ravens should really look at, because they lost Yannick, they lost Judon. Yeah, they have Bowser and Pernell McPhee, but those guys aren't every down edge rushers. They're kind of hybrids. You can plug and play Bowser anywhere in the linebacker core. You can have him cover, you can have him rush, you can have him stop the run, that type of thing. But the Ravens no longer have an edge rusher. Like, it's just missing from their entire front seven. So they need that, and I think Gregory Rousseau is a great player to fit that mold. The next pick in the draft I have at, I got to see what number it is, 58 in the second round. I've got the Ravens going with Richie Grant, safety out of UCF. Now, another position I've talked about a lot on the channel is safety. I don't think that the Ravens needed to, go after a safety in free agency, but I said that they could address it in the draft. They didn't want a first-round safety, but I was sitting there and I was like, there wasn't a great guy available that I really wanted. Brevin Jordan was there, but I'm a believer in Josh Oliver. I'm sorry, I'm a believer in Josh Oliver. I believe in him. But I saw Richie Grant. I was looking into him. He's a playmaker. He translates most to the free safety position, which the Ravens don't really have. Deshaun Elliott and Chuck Clark are both kind of strong safeties, more in the box types. Deshaun Elliott can play free, but I think drafting just a third safety, one, is just a depth piece, but 2 is another guy. They could throw 3 safeties out on the field sometimes and kind of mix things up, and I think that would be a very valuable piece that the Ravens could add. Richie Grant went to UCF, and he's about 6 feet tall, and he's a playmaker. And I think the Ravens getting somebody with good ball skills relatively early, rather than waiting till, what was it, the 6th or 7th round where they drafted Geno Stone, and they didn't even keep Geno Stone. But, I think addressing that, turnover forcing, because the Ravens don't get a ton of picks, really, outside of Marcus Peters. So, having somebody that can get interceptions is going to really help this defense, because obviously the Ravens still force turnovers with the fumbles, but getting picks is something that the Ravens also need to do, especially when you play against gunslingers like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Next pick was pick 104, the comp pick for Culley, and I went with Patrick Jones II, the edge rusher out of Pittsburgh. And you're like, what? You haven't drafted a wide receiver? Yes, I have not drafted a wide receiver. If the Ravens get Sammy Watkins, I don't really need them to draft wide receiver in the first 3 rounds, unless Terrace Marshall's available at in the second round when the Ravens are drafting, then I'd be okay with them addressing it, or they trade for another pick and they have, the ability to. I just don't want them to go wide receiver early, but, that's my opinion. Let me know down in the comments if you disagree, because I bet a lot of people will. But Patrick Jones, another edge rusher. I just don't want to bank on one edge rusher being able to come in and be like, okay, here's our rookie edge rusher. He's going to dominate. We're not picking, number 2 overall, being able to draft Chase Young. or, drafting in the top 5 and getting a Joey Bosa or a Nick Bosa or something like that. Like, we're not doing that. Okay. We are drafting later, and a lot of times it's like it takes them a little bit to develop. Can they be great? Yes, absolutely. But drafting more edge rushers and hoping one of them pans out is more beneficial, in my opinion. And he would be able to fit in another defensive end spot. So we could have Rousseau and Patrick Jones on the outside, and then have, a Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, and you can mix up the front all the time, swap in Derek Wolfe on the outside, like all those types of things. But, for the future, like having 2 solid edge rushers that are growing together, I think could be very beneficial for the Ravens to go after, because I just, not having any edge rushers is really frustrating to me, because I'm a firm believer in building a defense through the pass rush and front 7, which leads me into my next pick, which is pick 131. And I went with Charles Snowden. And you may be like, who the heck is Charles Snowden? Well, Charles Snowden is a 6'6", 6'7" linebacker from Virginia, and this dude can pretty much do everything. He can drop into coverage. He can rush the passer. He actually had 6 sacks last year rushing the passer. He had 5 sacks 2 years ago rushing the passer. Gets tackles for loss, very long, able to stop the run on the outside, because that's something we're going to be missing, is Matthew Judon's ability to seal the edge. I think he could come in, and it won't be right away, but he's almost like a bigger Tyus Bowser, really, is what I'm seeing him as. Tyus Bowser 6'5", like he's a big dude, but 6'6", 6'7", and you'd be able to have 2 monster players that are just plug and play guys that you can just put around all over the field, rush the passer, put him on the inside to shoot the gap, stop the run, all those types of things. I think Charles Snowden would be able to do for the Ravens. So he was kind of the most interesting pick I think I went with, because linebacker, I think, and also we've lost some linebackers. So I think it would be an interesting pick, but I think it would be the smart pick. Next pick, had this guy in every single mock draft so far. Pick number 171. Got to go with Simi Fehoko. I think his draft stock probably went up recently. Actually, I was very surprised he was available in like whatever round this is, the 4th or 5th round, because he ran his pro day. He's 6'4". I've talked about him a lot in the mock draft. 6'4", and I was like, yeah, he's got good speed. He ran like 4.37 at 6'4". That's fast. Like that is scary fast. He's got great, point of attack on the football. He's able to high point it. Really, he'd be able to be like a longer term down the road type Sammy Watkins player, where he's just a physical specimen that can go deep down the field and make the catch over pretty much any cornerback in the NFL. And the Ravens need to up that deep threat game. So he's the first wide receiver I had the Ravens taking. And I think that he'd be a very good fit in the Ravens offense. Wouldn't be somebody that you'd be able to put out on the field every play to start the season. No, he would be a sub him in for a deep threat or some type of jump ball situation, because trust me, I've probably watched every game of Simi Fehoko's career. I'm a Stanford football fan, and the dude is just amazing when the ball is in the air. With the next pick, 184, I decided to go with Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson, center out of Kentucky. Ravens need a center. Yeah, they can move a couple of guys and put them at center, but drafting somebody that would be a long-term center option would, I think, be smart for the Ravens to do, because we don't know exactly what's going on with Orlando Brown. Could he get traded? Yes, but I didn't want to draft a tackle if we didn't really need one. So I was like, okay, let's at least get a center, because you can never have too many centers, because sometimes they all get the yips and it ruins your season, and unfortunate things happen. The ball goes over Lamar Jackson's head. Sorry, the center position gets me very frustrated because of all of the negative things that happened there last year with Skura and Makari. Looking at kind of the final pick, this is the one I'm most excited for. There's a lot of guys that I saw in the comment section, wide receivers, and when I was drafting, I didn't like they were so far down the list. I was like, okay, these guys could honestly be undrafted guys that we could sign. So I'm not going to really mention them. I will have a video at some point talking about undrafted players or very late round players the Ravens should target at the wide receiver position. But this guy, Josh Imatorbe, unbelievable. So if you've seen, there's a couple of videos that have gone out of a guy doing a vertical, leap, where, it looks like he hovers in the air, the way he swings his arms. He kind of hovers and floats and goes up and then back down. Yeah, this is him. He's had over a 47-inch vertical. His pro day was a 46.5-inch vertical jump. And if you want to compare that to something, well, that would be the highest in combine history if it was at the NFL Combine. So this dude at 6'2" with that kind of vertical would be unbelievable for the Ravens. And the other best part about it, this dude went to USC for 1 year. Then he transferred to Illinois. But we know a guy in the Ravens coaching staff from USC, and Josh Imatorbe went to USC in 2017. And T. Martin was at USC back then as the offensive coordinator / wide receivers coach. So that connection, boom, right there is able to kind of connect him with Baltimore. But then the skill set that he brings, just big bodied with unbelievable athleticism. Like his potential is so high. Like he may have one of the highest potentials in the NFL draft this offseason, just based off of, what he can bring with the athleticism that literally nobody's ever been able to match in NFL history with that vertical leap and things like that. So overall, my draft, I'll go through it one more time. Obviously, let me know down below your thoughts, any guys that you think I could have missed. Also, my decision to not go wide receivers until like the 5th round. Maybe it's too risky, or I think it was late 4th round, but maybe it's too risky. Maybe it's not. But Gregory Rousseau, then Richie Grant, then Patrick Jones II, then Charles Snowden, then Simi Fehoko, then Drake Jackson, then Josh Imatorbe. And my favorite picks right there are Charles Snowden. I think he's just the most intriguing. And then Josh Imatorbe. That vertical leap, like being able to throw a jump ball to him, if the Ravens ever implement that type of offense, would be unbelievable. But that's my draft. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked the video, and obviously subscribe if you want to see daily Ravens content. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow.